Hey, listen, I quit. Yeah, I'm going into stocks.
Name of the game. Move the money from your client's pocket into your pocket.
But if you can make your client's money at the same time, it's advantageous to everyone, correct?
No.
No one is paying attention.
It's unbelievable.
Have to act now.
God, this is intimate. I feel like I'm financially inside of you or something.
Okay.
I have 5 houses and a condo.
I'm considering going long on April wheat. What do you think, Valentine?
Hi guys, welcome to the Greedy Trader channel. Well, I'm not exactly greedy, as most of you old watchers of the channel will testify. I have the most conservative approach to trading. It's just a nice parody idea from the Gordon Gekko mantra. There are only two kinds of traders, the greedy ones and the fearful ones.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works.
Those of you who are new to the channel, this is where you can learn how to really trade like a professional. Every video I make is packed with real examples with before and after scenarios, so you can see that it is simply a question of sticking with the plan and not changing it because you're having an emotional meltdown. Right, so hi guys, in this video I'm going to talk to you about how to install TPO market profile for MT4. I'm also going to talk to you about why I use it. Right, so for those of you who have no idea what a TPO chart is, and I'm not saying this to be awkward, but you really need to understand this and you need to know this, but I'm going to show you how to install it at least. And for those of you who might want to put in the comments, how do I get hold of this? Is it free? Unfortunately, it's not going to be free.
You're cheap. You are so cheap. You never ever put money in any tip jar, ever.
And that's because I built this myself, right? And I built it for my own purposes at the time. I worked with a lot of traders and I wanted to have it because most of those traders at the time were MetaTrader and I wanted to have it as well. And it didn't make sense asking someone who just started out trading to get a $400 a month CQG package just to get market profile, go to NinjaTrader and pay 250 quid a month just to get market profile. Or it didn't make sense to say to someone that, well, you know, get Sierra charts that is highly complex, it might have a 2 to 3 month learning curve, and say, well, you know, go get market profile on there. It just didn't make a lot of sense because again, that would set that trader back now currently about $50 a month, and that is just to get access to market profile. And then they're going to obviously it's Sierra charts, so that they offer a feed, but it's all delayed data, and then they're going to have to end up streaming data maybe from a data provider they have to pay. So sadly, in the professional space, there's a lot of paying for data. There's a lot of you know, it's just the way it is because most of the major providers are in the United States, and no offense to Americans, is that they do spend an awful lot of money on acquiring things. It's a consumerist society, whilst obviously us in Europe, we do like spending money, but certainly not as much as the US does. So on that basis, it makes it incredibly prohibitive to just keep engaging in that behavior, especially as a new trader. You're trying to preserve capital, you're trying to learn, you might end up losing a couple of trades along the way. The last thing you need is additional cost to your trading business. So for that reason, I built my own, and that allowed me to take advantage of a lot of the FX data, which is largely free from CFD brokers. And there's absolutely no difference between what you get from a paid data provider and what a CFD broker provides. There's like zero difference. So it stops making sense after a while. If you follow a lot of assets where you can get free data and you can make money, why would you spend the extra? Of course, I'm a much more sophisticated trader, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I do a lot more in the arena of the options market, so I sell option premium, highly complex things, so I need to essentially buy data. Obviously I trade a lot of other assets as well. I have an equity portfolio, so for all intents and purposes, I'm a little bit more of what you would describe as a professional trader. I'm not really necessarily a novice or a retail. I mean, I've been doing this 15 years plus. I have an institutional background, so I know all the stuff I need, and I don't need anyone to tell me anything. Of course, I'm always open to something new that I don't know, but there's very little that is new to me. So as a consequence, I built this for myself. So to offer this for free would be really difficult. Initially, I did do that for a large number of traders when they were starting with this. I built all of this, servered it. The problem is that over time, the cost builds up, and whilst it's not a big deal for me, I just don't see the need to be paying for something that I know traders can pay maybe a one-time fee and then get it for themselves, and then that supports my passion rather to help them. It doesn't make sense. There's a give and take in this world, and if you just want to be a taker, then I'm afraid this is just not going to be the space for you. Please do go to Sierra Charts, Window Trader, and some of the big guys, and let them charge you for getting these kind of tools. And so either way, you're not getting this for free. No way, unless you're willing to build it yourself, and it cost me a lot of money to do this. It wasn't cheap. Anyway, enough of the rant. The video was to show you how to install it. So for those of you guys who have mentally made the decision that this is the way you want to go, you want to be a professional trader, you want to know how professionals look at the market, then this is the way to go. And again, as I always say, don't take my word for it. Please Google. Do understand the origins of a TPO chart and market profile. This was developed by some of the biggest traders in the world. Now, for those of you guys who are familiar already with market profile, you probably know some of the names associated with it. Most of these guys were floor traders, so they built this for themselves to give themselves a data edge. So it wasn't really built for the retail community. Now, as the demand is growing, with the floors disintegrating or having disintegrated, some of these oldies are now trying to come into the retail arena on screens. They need tools. And market profile would always be their go-to, because when Peter Studelmeyer was on the floor, he obviously promoted this to floor traders. Some of them still remember that, the slightly older ones, and the ones who did adopt it promoted it to some of the younger floor traders that are now a little bit older, near enough retirement, and they're wanting to use it. So you're not going to ask a professional trader and say, oh, is market profile good to use, or is it a gimmick? They'll just laugh at you because they know it's good to use. Most of them use it. It's whether you can afford to have it. So I've already gone through the trouble and done that heavy lifting for you. So if you're already decided that you've done some your own research, you're happy that market profile is going to give you the edge that you need, then stick around. I'll show you how to install it on MT4. So first and foremost, what you want to be able to do is you want to go to File, and then you want to go to Open Data folder. This is important because in the data folder is where you're going to put the ex4 file that I will give you if you message me in my Discord server, and I will leave the link in the description below. So if you want to do this, you don't need to leave message in the comments anymore. You can just go to the link on the Discord server, and I will pretty much walk you through the steps in terms of getting the ex4 file. Once you've got the ex4 file, you would put that in the data folder. You will see inside of your data folder a folder that says MQL4. If you open that data folder, you can put it in there and you're done and dusted. Once you've done that, you will then restart your MetaTrader. Now there's another step, right? So once it's in there, you can then do Control I on your keyboard, and you should be able to see it on your main chart. Now if you open this, if you click open to it, and I won't do that, it doesn't matter, I'll do it because either way the password won't work for you anyway. So if you open, it will look like this, right? So when you click on this, you'll open it, and what you should be able to put in here is your password. This will be generated and it will be linked to your individual MT4. So it will be linked to your individual MT4 number. So in order to validate it, we will need that MT4 number. Once we get that, we can validate it so it's tagged to that. So if you want to install this on another MT4, you can't do it. So it's one MT4. But what I've said I will do is that I will give everyone 3 validations. Right now, people who know me know that I've given them more, but I will give you 3 as like a default. Okay, so if you get a new MT4, you change broker, whatever, you can pretty much do that. Now, again, the settings, I have other videos on the settings, so I'm not going to get into that, but the most important thing is putting in the password. And then you want to go to the common tab and ensure that allow DLL is ticked, right? For some brokers it works that way. This needs to be ticked. In my case it doesn't, because the broker platform that I'm using, it works very, very well. They don't block API, so I don't have any of those issues at all. Now I would not, because of my YouTube channel, I don't promote brokers, so I'm not really going to, at least maybe in the future I might, really good ones I really value, but for now, because of you know, other kind of business arrangements, I'm not going to promote brokers. So I'm not going to say the broker that I'm using now. I'm not going to say their name. But if you want to find out, in my Discord server, I can tell you the brokers. So if you DM me, I'll tell you the brokers that I know it works on for sure without any API restrictions. Most brokers running MT4 are not going to have API restrictions, but some will, and I don't know what broker you're using, right? So again, you can run this on a live and a demo, so it doesn't have to be a live. So again, if you want to give a demo and then execute on a live, that's fine. Now, for those of you who are going to say, is this available for MT5? No, it's not. It is not available for MT5, and that's because it's incredibly difficult to code this for MT5, and I've had many conversations with people to do this, and it will involve me giving up significant intellectual property for it to happen, and most of the time, from what I've been told by the developers, that is too difficult to do, right? And you know, one person I did give all the files to take a look at, and it just didn't happen. So don't have it for MT5. So what most people tend to do is they will get the data feed from MT4, which is exactly the same like I'm running it now. I am running it on an MT4, so I'm not running it on an MT5, it's an MT4. So again, you can get the data and then you can execute on your MT5. So it's not really a big deal, right? But what you will get with this is a lifetime license. So if you purchase it through me, I'll give you a lifetime license, so you don't really need to worry about it for as long as MT4 will run. Now, I know on good account that MT4 is going to remain supported because 90% of brokers still run MT4, even though there's a push towards MT5 for different reasons. But a lot of people will still run MT4 if you need it. So if you needed an MT4 demo, I don't foresee you having trouble getting it, right? The tool will work on most MT4 builds. I know at some point there are not going to be any new builds, but on the old builds will work fine, and there will always be data going through them because people will trade on them. In the future, of course, if MT4 is discontinued for whatever reason, like I said, I don't foresee that happening, but let's say it is, then of course this won't be available for MT5 at all, right? So that's just something that we are all aware of. If MT4 does stop existing, then of course, even for me, this will stop existing, right? But for now, that is not the case. It is well supported and has been for a number of years. Okay, so that aside, I'm assuming now we get the idea of how to install it. So once more, you go to File, Open Data Folder, put it in the MQL4, restart it, and then I will send you the password once you've purchased it. You will insert that password exactly what I said. So if once you've installed it and you want to access the indicator, just you can either go to Control I, or you can go to Indicators, go to your custom, and then you'll be able to see your TPO chart down there. So that's the basics of the install to everyone. So again, MT4, what can you see with the TPO chart? So just get a brief overview of this. And I've got a ton of videos on this YouTube that cover exactly this topic, so you can take a look at that and see how best we use TPO charts. Now, why do professionals use it? Right, so if we zoom in, now there are a couple of cool things you can do with it. You can zoom in, for example, you can change it to a histogram, you can show the volume, for example, so you can play around with it. So if I change it to a histogram, it looks like this. I can put it back to TPOs, so on. So whatever works for you, you can zoom in and out and so on. There are a lot of adjustments you can make to the settings, so I implore you, I've got another video that actually covers all the settings and everything else, so I'm not going to talk about that here. So why do we use MT? Why do we use it? Because one, it encourages us to see the statistical benchmarks. Okay, so let's take, for example, 1, 2, 3 profiles we're looking at. These are slightly bigger profiles, they're weekly profiles. What it allows me to do is to look at the longer term picture and still be able to execute on the smaller term picture without having to change my view. So what I'm looking at is what I'm looking at. I don't need to change that. Now, what's really cool about this, I can see the statistical value high and low. Now, for guys who program algos or they look at statistical benchmarks, which in the retail crowd, this isn't done enough, they'll be able to tell you that this is like an amazing resource to have just for that alone. Because not only are you able to see where within any given session where the value is highest and the value is lowest in terms of that first standard deviation from the mean, you can see that at a glance. That's insane, first and foremost. Secondly, you're looking at an entire weekly bar, which will be like a candlestick, but you can also see where the price action was most active. So was this a neutral type profile, or was it elongated, similar to these? So you can get an idea of what the order flow was looking like. Secondly, once we can see this, we can identify areas of support and resistance very, very easily by marking out where those value highs are or looking at where those bids and offers are. So if we say, for example, we were looking at this and we wanted to be a seller, right? And this is why professionals use it. So you can split your profiles, right? So you can see the individual rotations. So these are 4-hour rotations, and you can clearly see where the offers are strongest. So take, for example, what happened at 6 a.m. in a London session with cable. We had in J period, the market moved very high. Now for a professional trader, they have the option of setting, say for example, at the point of control or just below the offers, they can set a limit order. Let's set 26.71 to sell, because they're well aware that there was a lot of order flow building and it's pushing the market lower. So, and this is really simplistic, right? I don't want you to take this and run away. I have a lot of extensive stuff on YouTube that cover this, so you can do this in a much more accurate way. So again, if you're going to be short, you put limit order to sell at this price, there's a high chance that we're going to reverse out, because that's a lot of offers to chew through. Or rather, we should say that's a lot of, in this case, the market was rolling. Yeah, there's offers because it was coming from high. So it's a lot of offers to chew through. So on the pullback, we can set the limit order here, and then we can put risk above the statistical benchmarks. That could be either value high, or it could be the high of the week, and so on. Now, if you look at the reverse, what that has done for you is it's pushed much lower. So if we take this profile and let's unsplit it, we can see where the value trade is, for example. So a lot of the prop guys from the futures world, for those of you who might be familiar with the old futures firms in London, they will be looking a lot more at the value trade. So on the pullback to the downside, they're looking at cutting through statistical value, which is about 60 pips. So for them, it's a 70% probability trade, one that they can easily take advantage. A fail at offers through value, 70% trade, right? That happened all in one session. But what you're able to also look at is typical range. So once we've failed below the balance, you're able to deduce that, well, we're going to get sufficient range perhaps to the underside, where we might start to see the market cool off. So again, if you're short here, you can start to profit manage or adjust at about 82 ticks. So if you think about it, you're able to capture much bigger moves because you understand the layout of the field, right? And if you look at how many times this happened, right? So we came in again in U period, really tough to chew through those offers, and then that took us back through another value trade, which concluded at the end of this week or close to. So there was a lot of selling opportunity, and professionals will continually keep selling out of offers because they know that they can actually see the order flow when they look at a profile chart, something you can't easily do with a candlestick chart. Eventually, those offers broke, and again, that allows for traders to take advantage of maybe the order flow moving higher and maybe trade this as a high probability breakout. I personally don't like to trade in this fashion, so I don't really do the whole breakout thing, but again, that's another opportunity there. And as we build data historically, we can see where the benchmarks are, where these things are likely to turn around and these become high probability trades. So for example, you would see rising value, so value perception is going higher because we're seeing higher value areas, and that tells us that any move to the downside is going to cause a shift in value, and that opens you up for a value trade against prior value, as we say. So again, you can see offers stacking here. We go back, we revisit those offers, and then we sell off for the week right through value. So typically these low areas are where we're going to look to cover that trade, for example, right? So all of these things give professionals an edge, right? So they've got a statistical edge, and that's why they're interested in it, and that's why it costs so much money. So again, if you wanted access to this kind of information, don't assume that there's an idiot out there who's just going to give you it for free, right? It's just not going to happen. And if that's what you're looking for, then it would explain as well a lot of your challenges with trading is because you're unwilling to get to the idea that if you want something good, you might have to spend some money for it. And I can assure you, the brokers are taking enough from you already. So if those are the people you want to give your money, then fair enough. Or you can choose to get yourself some good information, some good tools, so you can go out there and kick some ass. What else can I say? But anyway, that is why professionals use it, because there's just a lot of statistical information there that you can't otherwise get, and it really gives you that much more of an edge as traders. But in any case, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you now know how to install it. So if you ever do decide that this is the pathway you want to go, I've showed you how to install it, how to get it. Any more questions, guys, just DM me on the Discord. To my next video, adios.
Hey, listen, I quit. Yeah, I'm going into stocks.
Name of the game. Move the money from your client's pocket into your pocket.
But if you can make your clients money at the same time, it's advantageous to everyone, correct?
No.
No one is paying attention.
It's unbelievable.
Have to act now.
God, this is intimate. I feel like I'm financially inside of you or something.
Okay.
I have 5 houses and a condo.
I'm considering going long on April wheat. What do you think, Valentine?